Word. So I have a special guest here today. It's an amazing woman, I would say an inspirational woman for a lot of my followers. Would be really interesting to know her story. She is a full-time home health physician therapist, and she is a competitor, vegan bikini athlete. She have a lot to talk about. So welcome to my show, Keshia Warren. Hi, girl. How are you?
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. That was such a nice intro.
Oh my God, I was trying my best, but honestly, I not know a lot about you as well as my followers. So before we're gonna go into the juicy questions I prepare for you, I want you to tell a little more about yourself for my listeners, for anyone who watch or listen us out there. So where are you from and what do you do for living?
I'm from Dallas, Texas, but I currently live in Los Angeles, California. I'm a physical therapist full time, and then I also have a couple of like side hustles. I have tried the whole modeling thing. I have an agent, but I haven't really booked much because of COVID. But so there's that. But I also started doing like voiceover acting during the pandemic, so that was actually pretty fun. Yeah, so you see that black box that's in my corner? That's like my homemade sound booth.
Oh, wow. Okay. As someone who don't watch the video, only listen, it looks really interesting, almost like a dad box.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I
Yeah,
need one of those. I need this for good sound on my podcast. I know what you're talking about. Okay, girl.
exactly.
Awesome. So how long you been vegan?
I've been vegan for 6 years now, since May 1st of 2016.
Wow.
So
So what make you to cut into veganism in the first place?
Well, so it kind of like started, I was in PT school and I was home from break. And I ended up going to Houston to hang out with like my two best friends. And then we met up with some other people. And there was a girl there who was vegetarian. And she was talking about how, like, why she went vegetarian, and was talking about how all the complications that can happen just from eating like red meat and like even white meat. And so, obviously, so I'm half Panamanian, half Mexican. And so people of color tend to have higher tendency of having diabetes and high blood pressure.
Mhm.
And my dad has high blood pressure and my mom has type 2 diabetes. So I see them all the time, and like just knowing that they take so much medication, where I literally am like, these pills are just a band-aid. If you would just address your nutrition and actually be more healthy and actually be more active, you wouldn't have to take these pills. So for me, that was what kind of like started it. And so I started off pescatarian for like 3 years. And it was me and my two best friends. We all wanted to just see how long we could go. One lasted like maybe 2 weeks. The other one lasted like probably 2 or 3 months. And then I ended up lasting like 3 years. And so that curiosity just kind of like got me into, like, I was just like, I wonder what this whole veganism thing is about. Let me just try and do my research because I'm a nerd. So then I kind of like looked into it some more. I met another vegan athlete. He was a pro basketball player, and he was the one who really kind of set the stone and like really guided me towards the right resources to just dive deep and learn more. And then from there, I was just like, oh, this is easy. This isn't that bad.
Wow. So that's how you started. So you got a friend who helped you out, right? And
Pretty
he
much.
kind of like recommend you to like best vegan proteins, or how you find out what to actually like eat. And you can answer this question. And I listened to you. I just realized that I didn't turn off my AC, so you may gonna hear the sound. So you answer, and I'm gonna be right back.
So he was just mostly telling me about like tofu, and then also mentioned like the legumes and all of that type of stuff. But um, he more so just kind of helped me in regards of more so having a stronger why of why you should be vegan. And
Wow.
so it wasn't, yeah, he didn't really help with like helping me with figuring out what the proper proteins were. That wasn't until I actually did vegan bodybuilding where I learned more about where I could get high amounts of protein. But he helped me with getting my why and making it stronger. But he led me to those resources. So once I had that, like once I had my reason why, then that's when I kind of did my own research and was just kind of like, okay, where can I get my protein besides protein powders? And then it ended up leading into like bodybuilding. And then that's my first coach was the one who kind of like really taught me like the basics of vegan
Mhm.
bodybuilding.
Really? Wow. I curious who that coach, because like a lot of the time when we go into the bodybuilding and we hire a coach, is usually opposite. They don't even know how to deal with the vegan athletes. So who is this amazing coach?
Oh my gosh, I love her. She's no longer my coach right now, but she like laid the foundation for me. And I am so grateful that I found her on the internet, found her on IG. Her name is Chrissy. Her IG is, I believe, vegan fitness, no, fit vegan, wait, fitness vegan model. That's what her IG
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's based out of Australia. I think my AC is on. She's
Yeah,
based out of
we're gonna add the descriptions below to her Instagram as well for people who wanna see, right? We're gonna add it. No worries. I'll take care of that.
Okay. But
And
yeah, so she's the one.
so that was your first coach, and you said like switching up to the vegan diet is kind of leads you to the bodybuilding. Can you tell us a
Mhm.
little more? How is that possible? Usually, people see vegans as the skinny, beautiful girls, but not kind of strong bodybuilders, right? So, how's that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, I mean, I'm already naturally slim. Like I have your typical ectomorph body, like your typical basketball player, tall and slim. So I just felt, I don't know, whenever I kind of like looked into it more and just kind of just going through IG and how I came across her page, I literally was like, oh, so you can build muscle. So for me, I just felt like it just I just felt that there was a way. Like I didn't know what the way was besides tofu and like, the meat alternatives that you see out there, but I kind of was like it just doesn't make any sense. There has to be a way besides tofu and like protein powders. And so again, once I met her, she was the one who was just like, "Oh yeah, you can get it from here, from here, from here, the legumes, you can get it from seitan. Seitan is so yummy. Oh, I love that stuff."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, my hands on that. Yes, I love seitan too. And I actually create my own recipe, a homemade seitan, because sometimes when we go to the store, they put too much preservatives in the really good seitan. But if you look at ingredients, you're like, what the hell they add to the regular wheat gluten, right? Which is actually seitan. So I
Yeah,
would love you to also try it if you're interested. It's super simple
of
recipe.
course.
Called vegan chicken
Yeah.
nugget seitan. It's on my YouTube. Try it out. And the
Oh,
macros for that recipe is super good. It's like 30 grams of proteins in the one serving, only 16 of carbs and zero fats. So it's a
nice.
good one.
And even like being on IG, the first vegan bodybuilder that I came across besides my coach, because she's also a professional, or my old coach, she's also a professional bodybuilder,
Mhm.
was a fit vegan chef.
Yeah,
I think her name is
Natalie.
Matthews. Yeah. So like when I came across her page, I literally was like, oh, this is for sure. You definitely get muscle then. Like this is fine. And I like did some of her recipes and I was like, oh, I can do this. This is easy. This isn't that bad.
So exciting. Yes, and I'm so happy we connect. And I saw you kind of a really interesting story, because what I more like about you that you are a health professional, you're a physician, and you are a therapist. And I want to know how's this transition, affect your work. Did you get the vegan clients now, or do you talk with the people about nutrition? Is it anyhow change your work?
So I'm Well, so as a physical therapist, we can educate our patients about nutrition, but the sad thing is that I honestly feel that in the healthcare field and as a whole, not just like with physical therapy, even like in med school, like I feel that they don't do a very good job of teaching enough about nutrition, which
Mhm.
I think is like the core to really getting people to being healthy. Like we literally in PT school, at least my PT school, we only have one class. And actually not even a class, so maybe two lessons from out the whole 3 years that I was in school. And I know I want to say med students, they typically only have one class, if that. Not even all of them have that. But for me, because I've done my own research and I'm very adamant about like being more holistic instead of being on all these pills, like to me, that's a band aid. I when people ask me about nutrition, I'm just like, okay, well, you technically can go see your own nutritionist. However, I think that if you just eat a more whole food, plant based diet, you can definitely see a huge difference. And then I kind of like give them resources. So, like, I've given several of my patients, especially those who've had like triple bypass surgery, so heart surgery,
Mhm.
those people I always give them the resource of that one vegan doctor. I want to say is Dr. McGregor, because
Mhm.
he has so many like simple PDF things that you can just kind of like click off the list and like, oh, okay, eat this much of greens, eat this much of fibrous stuff or cruciferous vegetables, this many fruit servings, this many flaxseed. Like, I love how he breaks it down and makes it super simple. And like, I lead some of my patients to that, especially if they inquire about it, because they'll look at me and they'll look at my arms and they'll be like, do you work out? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then they're like, oh, you must eat like a lot of protein. I'm like, yeah, and I'm vegan. And then that's when they start asking questions. And once they ask the questions, then I'm like, ooh, time to reel you in. Let me throw this there to you.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome that you can educate people on this topic while doing your professional work. But let me back up a little bit. So you went vegan and then how you actually decide to get into the competition and prep for your first show.
Well, so when I went vegan, because I still was a newbie and I didn't know enough, I started to see that I initially lost a lot of weight. However, my physique wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I actually suffered from like body dysmorphia for like pretty much my whole life because my weight has like fluctuated. I've been super skinny to where I've been like skinny fat, to where I was actually kind of like semi overweight and I quickly lost it. Just playing basketball, I always lost it. And I just got to a point where I was sick and tired of going to the gym all the time and being super active and not seeing the physique that I wanted to see. So then that's when I started looking at bodybuilding. And then that's how I came across my former coach, Chrissy. And then from there, like, that's where the ball just started rolling. And after my first competition with her, like, she was just, I remember her telling me, Keshia, if you really want to do this, like, you can actually be successful in this sport. Like, you have the physique that's there. She was just like, you just have to keep going. And I was like, at first I thought I was like, because it was more so a bucket list type of thing.
Mhm.
Coming from a conservative state, I just, and being a person who never wore a bikini out in public, like it was just something that was a challenge for me to where I had to do it to I wanted to get myself to a point where I was doing something that made me super uncomfortable, but that I could like mark off my list and just be like, I did that. I
No.
didn't know that I was actually gonna like it. So
So when is it was your first show? When was that? Do you remember?
that was April of 2018, and it was the Grand Prix show out here in LA.
And how did it went? Did you got any placing?
I mean, I ended up getting, I think I got fourth in the novice, and then I actually ended up getting like second to last in the open. But because the reason why I did it was my why was just because I wanted to do something that made me uncomfortable and really pushed me mentally and physically. I was very proud of how far I came. And like after I did that first show and seeing all the other women, I was just like, you know what? I think I can have a better physique than this next package. Like I was like, I'm gonna do another show. And then I ended up doing a second show later that year in November. And I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna qualify for nationals. And I ended up getting second in the open class. So I did
Mm.
qualify. So then I was like, yay. But then I kind of had the itch to play basketball again. So I ended up playing basketball. But eventually I came back.
Yeah, so what make you to came back? Like what did you like about bodybuilding?
Well, so with basketball, as much as I love it, and even though it's been a huge part of my life, I mean, I'm almost 35. So I was like, I can only play for so long. And these people are having me play the entire game. Like, I mean, I know I can last that long because, you know, being vegan, you got a lot of energy. I was like, I can last that long. I just don't know if I want to because I'm just going to keep getting skinnier. So at that point, I was just kind of like, you know what? I think I'm gonna hang up the sneaks and I'm gonna just try and get stronger because I miss that part of like bodybuilding.
Mhm.
Like I love the thing I love about bodybuilding is how you can just recomp your whole body. Like if you can just get the right nutrition and the right training program, your whole physique can completely change within a year, especially if you're consistent, you know? And so that's what I love about the sport. So, and that's what I missed because I was just like, you know what? I want a booty. So I'm tired of being skinny. I want muscles.
Yes. Oh my God. This is so nice to hear all of this. I have so many girls coming to me with the same problem. Like they want to have a butt, right? And the main thing what I like about you that you build that butt on a vegan diet, which is a lot of people thinks impossible. So you here is a great example for anyone out there that it's possible. It doesn't matter you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, meat eater, you can reach your goals and you can change your physique if you do it right. So let me ask you, what helped you on this, journey to build your physique? You said you switch your coach, so maybe it's a new coach, maybe some specific approach you use. How you, as a quickly, I guess, high metabolism person, right, with really high macronutrients intake, how you be able to maintain your weight?
Well, so thanks. I with my new team and my new coach, she's the one who controls all of my macros and stuff just because I feel like I work too much and I'm just kind of like, I don't want to think, just tell me what to eat. I'm gonna eat it.
Mhm.
But she's like the main reason why my physique changed as far as like the nutrition part. Um, I think with the training, just also learning more and kind of like looking at IG people like Brett Contreras, the glute guy, like progressive overloads and then changing up like different exercises. But I think the main thing is if you lift heavy, you're going to change your physique. But I also think that just having that muscle memory, because I've been lifting weights since high school.
Mm.
So that the only difference between now and back then was then I didn't want to lift heavy because I thought I was going to be manly. And me being 6'1", I literally am like, I'm already taller than the average American male. I don't need to look buff. So I lifted heavy because I had that misconception. Now I'm all like, I'm about to lift heavier than half these men in this gym. Like that's my goal, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm so happy for you. So you kind of using the progressive overload approach with your training, right? Is being
yeah.
only off season or when you're in season you keep the same training routine?
Mean, I still try to do progressive overload even though um I'm still in season. Like I'm actually like 2.5 weeks out from my show, but my coach is actually having to increase my calories and macros because I keep dropping weight, which
Wow.
Like literally for my last show, I ended up making probably, I think I made like 14 pounds of sweet potatoes and I ate about 12 of it. Like she just kept increasing it. My weight just kept dropping, and I was like, "Well, I will keep eating this. I have no problems. This is great."
Love it. So you using the macronutrients approach or meal prepping thing?
Well, I asked her for both just because I know that whenever I decide to no longer do bodybuilding, I want to have a good foundation and understanding of what works for my body type. So if I can see, I'm like, oh, okay, if I'm at this amount of calories and macros, like this amount of carbs and protein when I'm in my maintenance, and then this is me deficit, then here's where I should be in a surplus. So I asked for both. I'm more so on a semi-flexible plan, which is why I love this team. And I love Chrissy. But she only had for which her plan was actually still pretty good compared to a lot of other bodybuilders where they only get one meal option for all of their meals and they eat that throughout their entire prep.
Yeah.
I was so happy that I did not have that. She gave me 4 options for every single meal, all 5 meals, which was great. But the only thing was she's very holistic, so she didn't want me to. She didn't really encourage like the store bought meats and stuff. Very little condiments and stuff like that. And for me, I'm just kind of like, I love barbecue sauce. I want my barbecue sauce.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit more flexible, just slightly more flexible with the new team that I'm with. But I mean, their approach is the same. Whole Foods, and both coaches, the thing I loved about both of my coaches is that they care about your health first. So they were always asking me, like, what's your energy like? Are you hungry? And then they would adjust my macros according to how I felt,
Yeah.
as well as like pictures. But yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely agree with you. Health is the first thing we have to control, especially when we go on those, crazy, it's anyways crazy diet for competition look, because the stage lean look is not the normal look. And everyone who listen out there, you got to remember that, because a lot of the time girls want to look like you on the stage or like anyone in a bikini, and then don't realize that we'll look like that only this day, only this hour, and
Right.
sometimes only that specific minute with a tan, with all the glam. And by the way, usually before that day, we used to look terrible. Like really skinny or really under control, and unhealthy, because like for example, a lot of people, when I'm going close to my shows in a gym, who don't know that I'm competing, sometimes they ask like, are you okay, like you getting look too skinny, you know what I mean, like is everything all right?
But yeah.
It's the time when people don't like, you know I do a lot of fitness modeling,
Yeah.
and for example, for photo shoots, it's not the best look ever. So you have to understand that, and I'm happy that your, coaches, and because you are a health, expert as well, can take care of it, because it's super dangerous. So I also
Oh
want to
yeah.
talk a little bit more about like how did you felt when you switched to the vegan diet? So, did you feel any difference in your energy, in your mood, in your performance in the gym? Anything what's changed?
A whole bunch changed. The biggest thing that I noticed was my energy was like
Mhm.
way more. I felt like whenever I would eat a vegan meal, like I felt full but like satiated. And like, if there were certain things that I ate when it was like meat based, I would feel sluggish, slow, way too overstuffed, and just like I just was like, oh god, I overdid it. But when I was eating a healthy vegan diet, because you can still eat a crappy vegan diet and have those feelings, but when I was eating a whole foods, plant based, nice, healthy, even balanced, like my energy was crazy. Um, my skin cleared up like a lot, a lot. I didn't realize that I had a sensitivity to dairy. And that once I gave that up, my face cleared up a whole bunch. Um, I also realized that my acne was also hormonal too, which I know if you're eating a certain amount of stuff, then that can also like change your hormones. I learned that I had a sensitivity to a high amount of sugar. That
Mhm.
would also make me break out. But what my I know this is kind of like TMI, but your bowel movements become a whole lot more consistent. And well, I think a lot of people don't realize that you should be going number two like every day. Like I know some people who literally only go like once every 3 days. And I'm like, your stomach is aching right now. Like that's not normal. You need way more fiber. And I know that like in the American diet, the most Americans don't even get the a right amount of fiber. When you vegan, you definitely hit that fiber count easy. Um, the what was the other thing? I feel like my skin, like, especially since people are so shocked when I tell them how old I am, like, they never believe me when I say that I'm almost 35. And so they're like, oh, I thought you were in your
Anyone who
20s. I'm like, oh,
only watch,
thank
I
you.
mean, anyone who only listen, have to go and watch YouTube, please. Go and then turn on the YouTube right now to see how beautiful you are, because I didn't know how old are you. Oh my goodness. Yes, you look so young, girl.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit of vegan diet. I don't know. Honestly, like I have a bunch of friends, clients who, got into the veganism and they do have, almost the same changes. Sometimes it's same, sometimes something different, but almost overall have the same benefit that you explain and with the skin changes as well and looking younger. So it's maybe has something to do with vegan diet, but we don't have any, clear research about that, so I wouldn't be super strict about that, but it's amazing changes and we can definitely see it. You look amazing, and your pictures, I see how much muscles you grow. I think it's an amazing results, and it's only start, because
Yeah.
tell us how many years you competing right now.
Well, I mean, so it was all of 2018, and then all of 2019, I was just playing basketball only. So then I kind of got like skinny, but I was still trying to lift on days that I didn't have games. And then obviously 2020 pandemic happened. So I ended up just losing all of the muscle mass that I even had left, and I lost weight. I know a lot of people in the pandemic like gained weight. I lost weight because I wasn't playing, so I just was like I wasn't as hungry.
Mhm.
And that's what kind of like was like, let me try this bodybuilding thing again. I kind of want to see how this works out. And it was almost like muscle memory. So this is technically only my second year of competing. And for this year so far, I've only done one, but I'm about to do my second one in 2.5 weeks.
This is incredible and so interesting. Which show is this one? Like, I think this
The
podcast.
USA,
When?
the USA's, the nationals,
Where is gonna be?
Phoenix.
Yes, because they keep switching, so I'm not sure where is this in this year. Awesome. I'm so excited for you. Are you
Thanks.
scary? Are you nervous already?
Um, I would say I'm kind of nervous. It's like a mixture of both. Like I'm excited. It's my first national show, and so I don't want to go in with like expectations and be like, oh, I'm getting my pro card, because I feel that that's one thing a lot of competitors kind of don't really think about. Like you don't know who else is coming and what package they're bringing to the stage, so you really just need to focus on yourself. And like as long as you're bringing a better version of yourself than the last time you stepped on stage, then you should be very proud of that. And that's kind of where I am mentally. Like I look back at like pictures from when I competed back in April of 2018. It's like night and day. This is literally the leanest I've ever been, like ever. um, but I'm excited. I feel like posing is the most challenging. That's definitely the most challenging thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you have a posing coach? Is anyone working with you?
Yes. Sorry, my computer's about to die.
Okay.
So with my team, that was the another thing I loved about this team was that posing was included in the package. So I have a posing coach with our team, but it's two different people. So I have one coach who just does like my nutrition and training, and then another one who does my posing.
Nice. This is awesome. And I want to also talk a little more about your spiritual side. So when I open up your Instagram page, what interesting for me is the first sign that you have right there is God is first. And I'm Christian as well. And this is something I go with too. So I always like to ask how you actually become to know God and what is, your purpose in life.
What's crazy is I grew up in like I won't say like a religious home because we never went to church, but my mom is Catholic, like most Hispanic people are. But I just kind of like so I knew God was real, and I believed in like the very basis of the foundation, but I didn't have a relationship with God, and
Mhm.
it wasn't until like high school was when it kind of like piqued my interest where I really was trying to just learn more. So I went to different denominationals, like different denominations of different churches. And I kind of was like, oh, okay, I don't really think I want to do this one. I don't think I do want to do this one. And it took years, honestly, of kind of like going back and forth and trying to really figure out like who I was and what God's purpose was for me. And I actually recently, like last year, got baptized. I finally was like, it's time. Like, I know what I want and I know where I'm supposed to be. And like, I am ready to just have God lead me in the right direction where He wants me to be. Um, but I feel like, I mean, as far as like my purpose, I I still am kind of still kind of wondering what it is, but at least the one thing I can say is that my relationship with God now is a whole lot better than it's ever been, which obviously that's the most important thing in our faith. And I the other thing I like about competing is like meeting other competitors who are God fearing as well. And I think that I don't know, I feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't think that just because they think, oh, well, you're showing so much skin. How can you be a Christian and show that much skin? And I'm like, it's really about your relationship with God, though. Like, if you're thankful for everything He's done for you, and you know that He's going to continue to provide for you, and like put these types of people around you, I think that God is in everything. So I don't know. I just there's just something about our faith that it just kind of like lights just makes you have hope, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. I hope I'm making sense. I feel like I'm talking in circles.
No, it makes total sense. Thank you so much for sharing this. That was amazing. What's lead you to this decision to, finally get into Baptist church? Is anything happen or how you actually find out that you want to be there?
Oof. Well, I've made some terrible decisions. I'm sure everyone has. And I got to a point where I was just at an all-time low. And I just felt like it's almost as if I had everything that everyone wants. Like I had my career, I had my finances were fine, I had, a people in my life that I loved and loved me back, but I still felt empty. I still felt like something was missing. And once I started going to church regularly, started going to Bible study regularly, that it like felt like that void was finally filled. And so that's what made me, and when I say I was in a whole other direction, definitely not doing what God would want us to do, like that's where I was. And I got to a point where I was tired of being in the wrong direction. And I finally decided to just turn around and go towards God and have Him be the center of my life because He was not at the center. So,
Wow,
yeah.
awesome. I'm so happy for you. This is an amazing switch you made. And if anyone out there listen to us and have the same problem, it looks like they have everything what they want, but they feel empty. what suggestions, what you can tell them to do?
I mean, I feel that if you are around God fearing people, that helps a lot. And I think that for me, that's kind of what I did. I was very blessed to have come across people who were so willing to teach me more about the Bible and like the foundation and just be open and loving, that just kind of really helped open the door. And because I'm the type of person where I'm very curious and I'm always asking questions, I was blessed enough to find people who were willing to teach and to continue to be there to guide me,
Yeah.
without any judgment of my path. So I feel that if you are lost, like if you see someone who you know is of faith, don't be afraid to reach out to them, because if they're truly a Christian, they will be more than happy to to answer any and all questions that you have. And just because one setting or one denomination may not work for you, I feel that you should definitely try others. Like try other churches, try meeting people. Like I think just putting yourself out there and just at least taking the step to like go to different churches is a good step. Or even just talking to someone about faith can help open up the door for anything. Um, and then honestly, one thing you can always do is just talk to God. He's listening at all times. So I think that.
Yes, absolutely. More likely those people who in the faith, they actually waiting for you when you start gonna ask those questions. Because like we want to be, pushy. We don't want to like come to you and start like, do you believe in God? you know,
Right.
but we almost likely waiting for those questions. We just don't want to be, too much. So if anyone
Yeah.
wants to know there, honestly, they actually can ask even you or me, right? And social media, I guess, is the amazing thing that we can use in a good way. Not only watch stupid things and buy stuff on Amazon, we could reach and see some people out there who are amazing Christians and they share amazing information every day. I love it. So that's one of the reasons I like to connect with people like you, to show up and to like talk not only about fitness and health and veganism, but about truly spiritual stuff, because this is the most important thing when we can talk about, right? So thank you for sharing this. And I'm almost finished with all my questions, but I have one question that I always ask anyone on my podcast, and this is hard one. What you gonna do if it's gonna be the last day for you on this earth?
Uh-huh. What am I gonna do? I can only do one thing, or can it be like a day?
It's wherever you want.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely gonna bake cookies because I love baking. Like that's one of my hobbies.
Wow.
So I would definitely bake and eat anything that I bake. And most likely I would make snickerdoodles because it's easy. So I would definitely eat that. And I probably would, if I only have one thing. So hard. I know I'm gonna eat. If it's my last day on earth, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna die happy.
It's so funny to hear it from this super skinny girl, like, I'm gonna eat. Okay, so you will have to eat. That's good. And can we find the recipe of your cookies somewhere? I'm curious.
Yes, 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 yes. Everybody always asks me for my recipe, and what's crazy is like people who aren't vegan. Like I'll just be like, "Oh yeah, here's some snickerdoodles," and they'll be like, "Oh, I love these," and I'm like, "They're vegan," and then they're always so shocked afterwards, and I'm like, "No, they're not." I'm like, "They are."
Wow, I love it. I'm all about that too. Love vegan recipes. So where people can find your recipes and connect with you as well.
Well, they can connect with me on IG. So if you want the recipe, you can just DM me and I can send you the PDF because I definitely don't have it posted anywhere, but I
Mhm.
don't mind sharing that.
Okay, awesome. What is your IG? Can you say it?
It is Dr. So DrKeshia Dr. Keisha Warren.
Nice. Yes. And I'm going to put all this information in the descriptions below of this podcast. And I have one small game I play with everyone in the end of my podcast. So it's going to be fun questions, not even the questions, I would say. It's more likely I'm going to say two things and you have to choose one. Sounds
Yeah.
good? Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. I kind of mess up and I close my file with those questions. I need a second because people don't know, but we got the trouble guys to connect, you know. So
Right.
give me 1 second, please. Okay, it's almost here. Got it. Okay, so it's a small game. I say two things, you quickly choose one. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Black or purple?
Purple.
Gym or outdoor workouts?
Gym.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Juice or smoothie?
Smoothie.
Wine or water?
Water.
Chocolate or sweet cream?
Sweet cream.
Kiss or hug?
Oh, hug.
Love or sex?
Love.
Awesome. That was it. Small game. Thank you so much for being honest. I love it. So before you're going to go, please tell anything you want to our listeners. What's in your head today, or maybe something you want to share for people out there who want to try to be vegan or even add some more plant-based meals in the diet.
I would say start off slow. Like, I mean, I was pescatarian for 3 years, and it wasn't until I just did more research and like watched more videos. By the way, I highly recommend watching Earthlings because that's what made me go vegan. I literally was crying half the video.
Is it
But
the film, right?
it's a film called Earthlings. I want to say the actor, what is his name? He played the Joker, Jaqueen Phoenix?
Mhm.
Yeah, that guy. So he's the narrator of that movie. When I saw that movie, that's what definitely sold me on being vegan. But I would just say start off slow, like even just general fitness and health. Like if you are drinking a lot of soda, just cut back on that. Instead, if you usually drink 2 bottles of soda a day, try to cut back to just one. Small little changes are what's going to hold up over time. Not many people can just go cold turkey and then just stay that way. I feel that if you just kind of slowly introduce things to your diet, like meatless Mondays or even just one meal where it's completely plant based, that's a start. At least you're trying, you know? And
Yeah.
don't be hard on yourself. And I also think that if you know someone who's vegan or if you've seen vegan Instagram, just go to their pages for different recipe ideas. Because there's a ton of info out there, especially now. YouTube, Instagram, everything.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I'm all about that too. And if you anyone out there who listen us have any questions, they can reach to me as well, and I could help. I have absolutely free, no charge assessment with anyone who need help through my website. So I am a professional vegan nutritionist. Come and ask as you have any questions because I do this from my heart, as you too. We want to see people healthier and happier. And by saying this, it doesn't mean that vegan diet is for everyone. I always want to point that maybe it's not for you, but you will never know if you're not going to try, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Carol, thank you so much for showing up today. I am really appreciate your time. It was really nice to talk to you, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks and a half with your trophy winning the show, right?
Hope so. Oh, that
Yeah.
would be great.
Okay,
Thank you
I'll
so
see
much
you
for
soon.
having me.
Welcome. It
Thanks.
was my pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye.